is Melissa. I am a project manager at the Leiden Learning and Innovation Center at Leiden University. I am very excited to be with some wonderful speakers today from 4 different universities across Europe. So yeah, I think then we are ready to have our first presentation of today from Charlotte Meijer from the Vrije University in Amsterdam. Let me just pick up her bio. So yeah, we are very excited to hear from her. Charlotte is an educational specialist at the Free University. She works with a team of student colleagues on educational innovation with a goal of enabling best practices and the best education for the Free University students. Charlotte mostly focuses on active blended learning, concrete teaching tips, and making sure that students are equal partners in education. So here we have her on the screen. So yeah, you can start your presentation. Please share your screen, and we're excited to hear from you. If you have any questions for Charlotte, please leave them in the chat. And depending on how we're doing on time, I'll be able to ask them at the end of the presentation, or otherwise we'll leave them for the panel discussion at the end. So yeah, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Melissa. So yeah, I am Charlotte. I work at the VU Center for Teaching and Learning in Amsterdam. I thought, like, what should I share first? Of course, I need to show my team because, you know, we're a really big team, but we're also very, we bond together very nice. So we have some team meetings, we have some education days where we work together, and we always have lots of fun. So let me first tell you guys a little bit about, if it goes to the next slide. Oh, has some trouble in Zoom. Sorry. Yeah, the Free University of Amsterdam. Probably not everyone knows that much about it, so let's start with that. We have around 33,000 students. We have more than 3,000 teachers. We're all split in 7 faculties, and we have 146 programs in total. The Free University of Amsterdam is a research university, and we are a campus university as well. So everything is all in one place. And of course, the Netherlands is known for all the bicycles, so I had to show that picture. Then we got our Center for Teaching and Learning. We are big. We have over 80 people working at the VU Center for Teaching and Learning. A lot of them are students as well. We find it very important to have students as partners. Most of the people that work there are trainers, so we give the formal didactical training for university staff. We have lots of advisors. We also have lots of communication people, IT people, people working on videos. We have our own secretariat. So lots of different roles and functions. We operate on an institution-wide level, so we help every single faculty, all the programs, not connected to just one of them. That's also sometimes happening within the Netherlands. We are quite young, at least the name Center for Teaching and Learning. So we only exist for 2 years, but that is because 2 different, I think, how to call it, Centers for Teaching and Learning were existing at the VU. And we couldn't really explain to people anymore what the differences were. So we combined the 2 together. And the one focused more on teacher professionalization, and the other one focused more on innovation. But we were both doing the same thing as well. So, you know, we combined it. And now for 2 years, we are called together this VU Center for Teaching and Learning. Yeah, that's what I want to say about that. When it comes to the more formal programs and the teacher professionalization, we are actually really quite well known for this development path that we have created. We find it very important that the teachers get to specialize in certain topics, that they can keep on developing. In the Netherlands, it's really common to start with a Start to Teach day. Then you have the basic university teaching qualification. If you grow, then you do the senior one. And then at the very highest level, you have the educational leadership course. But there's so many years in between those very formal moments that we were like, okay, we want people to develop all the time, that they can just grow as a person, but that they can also specialize in certain topics that they are actually interested in. And then as a group at the VU, you have all the specializations together and you have everything combined, but not that one person needs to be able to do everything. So, for example, what's very good, what we're known for at VU of Amsterdam is the mixed classroom principle, for example, which is all about inclusivity, and that if you have different perspectives, that's actually something you can learn from, instead of that it's a struggle. Sometimes people find it like very hard if there are different perspectives, but with mixed classroom, you really learn from each other and you want to hear each other's different perspectives and you grow together like that. That's one path you can choose, but there are many of them. Then I thought you guys would be very interested in the types of projects that we're doing. And this is more the innovation side of the Center for Teaching and Learning that we're focusing on. So I have many here, and I want to focus on just a few of them. For example, together with students, we create knowledge clips that teachers can use directly into their own education. So for example, we've seen that teachers find it quite difficult to really teach students how to give good peer feedback. It really only works when students really learn what the added value of that is and how to give good peer feedback. So we've created knowledge clips with students. I find that very important, that it's really the student perspectives from which the knowledge clips are created. And we make them together. And I think we've made some really nice knowledge clips when it comes to that. We have a pop-up studio, for example, where teachers can make their own knowledge clips for their education, completely free of charge, and they get a student who helps them along the more the technical side, but they also give advice. Right now, very common topic, of course, is AI. We're doing lots when it comes to that as well. We give a lot of workshops about it. And what we see is that a lot of people join those workshops because mostly they want to complain that all their students are just using AI and that their tests are not doing anything anymore. And then we focus on that first, and then we go and see what the possibilities are as well. Because of course, we're trying lots of different innovation projects with chatbots, with how to make knowledge clips with avatars, with using AI. We even have like how to talk to an avatar when you are in a group process and your group members are not doing their work. How do you communicate that? So we've got an avatar for that that students can practice with. Lots of different things. So we have so many projects. If you are interested in one of them, ask me in the chat. I will tell you more about it. But I also will share the slides and you can just click on the link if you want to know more about the projects. And I've also done some research in the past about CTLs. I've interviewed every single CTL of a university in the Netherlands, but I've also done a lot of literature studies when it comes to that. And I thought you guys would be interested as well what the success factors were when it comes to that literature study. There was written already quite a bit about it, but it was just not combined that well yet. And I saw lots of success factors that were just named every single time and again. So the mission and vision, that's in line with your institution. Same should be the case for your CTL, of course. One very important that we work on a lot is good visibility, because you can be doing very good things, but if nobody knows about it, then nobody will use it. So that's just a complete waste. So we have lots of communication people also working at our CTL to really get the word out, find all the people, create networks as well. Like, you have got to be visible at your institution. you have to have your leadership behind you as well. They need to say that it is important to work on education, that's actually added value. Because at a research university, you very often see the focus is on research instead of on teaching, sadly. But if you got the leadership that actually encourages you to grow as a teacher as well and follow all the trainings that we offer and all the workshops that we do, that people can actually specialize and become an expert and really focus on education, that's important for a success at a CTL as well. I think that's the ones I want to focus on for now. Also, I have a link here if you want to know more about the success factors. Maybe we can talk about it later as well. Got some current struggles as well. So I already said research as a priority. I heard that from every single university in the Netherlands when I interviewed them. They all had that same struggle. Right now in the Netherlands, we definitely have a shortage of resources. We're struggling with that a lot. How do we deal with that? And also extremely common, teachers are so extremely busy that there's some unwillingness to participate. I mean, they probably do want to participate, but they just don't have the time for it. So how do you get them in? Every single university was saying that as well. So that's what I wanted to say about CTLs for now. I'm very curious what all my other people from other CTLs are saying in other countries, and ask me questions if you have them.
Wonderful. So interesting. I think there's a lot of, especially looking at the research that you've done, I think there's a lot of food for thought over there. So yeah, please leave the questions in the chat. I will quickly ask you one question because you've been talking about how to bring in students into that you already work a lot with students, and I'm not sure if all of the CTLs across the people that are represented here do that. So if you have a couple of pieces of advice on how to best work with students.
Oh, I even have slides on that too. I could have to look for that. It's something that not a lot of universities or universities of applied sciences as well in the Netherlands, they don't do that because a lot of people come to us and actually want to learn from our approach when it comes to students as partners. So we have lots of visits where we talk about this principle exactly. We've written lots of articles as well on a national level that's been going around as more like a good practice, like how can you do it? So we've lots of different advice when it comes to that. I have a really nice picture when it comes to that. Shall I just show that really quick? See if I can find it really quickly. I think I will. Let me see. Success factors of students as partners. I even have it in English, so yay. Yeah, got it. Okay, this is the one. The success factors of working with students as partners. It's very, very important to have a good onboarding process when you're working with students, because you know they are not that experienced yet. They might not find their way that easily. So we have a buddy system that one that's already been working there for a long time. They can stay a little, that they can help them along the way, ask all their questions. Just someone very low threshold to just talk to and really get you familiar with it. What I find the most important one is that we have someone who is in charge of and responsible for the student well-being and their guidance. So we have this wonderful person who is even has a psychology degree as well. Like she is our mom basically. And she's really there for all the students. And when something's not going well in their personal life or in their work life, she's really there for you. She listens really well. She is really good at conflict resolution as well. So sometimes we have a teacher that doesn't want to be helped by a student. They feel too good for that. It has happened sadly in the past. She deals with that really well. And there's really, people feel like there's actually someone there for them. So they feel at home when they are working for us. They feel safe and they get the ownership to guide their own projects as well. We sometimes see that some really love to take that responsibility and then they get that. Other ones really want a little bit more guidance and want to string along a little bit. That's also fine, but we communicate about that really well. And when you work with students, you also always have to realize that they are in a very difficult time period right now. It's really difficult to get a room in the Netherlands, especially in Amsterdam. It's very expensive. They have exam times. They might communicate differently, like they rather want to use WhatsApp instead of email. Like they're not that professional maybe yet. So really communicate with them what they find important and listen to them and make agreements together. And then it will work really well. Like, I love doing it.
Great. So thank you for sharing this. I wasn't expecting a whole image. This is really
I've
interesting
had
and
so many
useful.
talks about this one.
Yeah, so I think then from the chat, they'd be really interested to get some links to the research that you've done, if you can already share that after we move to the next speaker.
The research is in Dutch though, but I know that Deepo is really good at translating stuff.
Great. And then we also have a question in the chat that I will move to the discussion with everybody that is more about how does everybody find the time for teachers to do reflection? So that's for the end. And then particularly for you, there's a question for the chat. If you could elaborate a little bit more on the educational innovation pillars that you may have at the VU.
Should I answer that in the chat? Is that a good idea?
If you can answer it quickly, then here. Otherwise, we'll move to our next speaker.
What the innovation things are at the VU? Yeah, really wide. We can basically do whatever we want. But like I said, we find it very important that we do have the same mission and vision that the VU also has. So really important that the VU is inclusivity, mixed classroom, a broader mind, we call it as well. Community service learning, that we're really out there for other people. So these are the types of projects that we're trying to focus on. I think very recently it also has been changed. So AI right now and how to deal with digital literacy, mostly very important, but you're also using it in an ethical way. Yeah, that's what we're mostly working on right now.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing, and we'll chat some more in the panel discussion. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, and look forward to chatting a little bit more. Perfect. So we are well on time. Our next speaker is Rüdiger Rolf from the University of Osnabrück. He has a degree in computational linguistics and artificial intelligence. He's been working there since 2002, and he's been there as a researcher. He focuses on automated lecture recordings, and he is a co-founder of OpenCast, which is an open source video management system. And he's currently the deputy head of the Center for Digital Teaching, Information Management, and Higher Education Didactics. So I see the slide is already pulled up, so the floor is yours. We look forward to hearing some more about your work.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, Charlotte, because there are many experience and things that I could also share or tell you that you're totally right with this, and we have the same experience. As one point that I picked out at first was you said that you are working close together with students, and I have not this on my slides, but it was always, as we are a much older institution, good for us in recruiting new staff, because students who know us, who like to work with us, want to work for us later on, and that has always been a good idea. So as I said, we are much older. So we were founded in 2002 when the first funds came up for digital teaching, e-learning, or what you might call it. At that time, we called it virtual teaching. You probably would think of something else these days, but we stayed for the virtual for our institution name for Virtuos, and also it's no longer in the long title of our institute. We liked it back then and stay to it. And yeah, we are a central service and research institute at the university. So we are not part of any faculty, which makes us independent, which makes us noticeable for everybody. So it's not, yeah, we are not working for your department. It's always, we are there for everybody. We had back then a primary focus on digital teaching, and that is still in a way the core of what we are doing now. Also, we were extended time by time since then. So in 2005, the campus management, so yeah, applying for a place to study at our university, enrollment to exams, and so on, is part of what we are doing since it was digitized. Then in 2007, the already long existing media production unit that was having a studio and having camera people and so on was also included to us, which made it much more interesting because in the very start, we already started with lecture recording, and that was strange for the people to see that there are two institutions responsible for this. And in 2017, we also included higher education didactics, so having programs for qualification for teachers. And that was much earlier already a topic, but that was never institutionalized at the university, and then it started and became part of our institution too. And yeah, some basic facts about the university and us. The university is not as big, for example, as Amsterdam. So we have 13,500 students at the moment. To compare it, because we have already or still 65 employees, part and full-time, and some more students that are on our payroll too, that I didn't count because that changed sometimes very quickly. And I guess that is quite big compared to the size of the university. We are mostly financed with third-party funds. That is sometimes a little bit annoying to see, because it's hard to discuss with our university management that we need more staff, because they say, yeah, write an application and you probably will be lucky to get money. And that is the typical way to go to for us. And one part, as I said, we are very technically focused in a way that we are also doing most of what we are doing with open source software, at least in the part of teaching and learning. So we introduced StudIP, which is an LMS like Moodle or Ilias or Canvas, or what you might know, already in 2003, and we are still using it, and it's the only official learning management system at the university. I guess in 2005, we reached 100% of student and staff to use this, which is still something that was, on our view, very early, and we were quite successful in this. And we are also developing, co-developing this software that is funded in Göttingen, Germany. We also started very early in 2003 with lecture recording, and were lucky to found Opencast as an educational video management software, which is mostly strong at the moment in German-speaking countries. But initially it was founded in Berkeley from the University of Berkeley with partners, ETH Zurich, for example, and so on. And I guess, at least in Germany, we are stronger than the commercial competitors at the universities. Also, our visibility outside the German-speaking countries is not as high, I would say. And at the moment, also staying with open source software, we are very much looking at data privacy aware AI solutions. So we cannot avoid using open AI services and so on, but we have, let's say, chat proxies that make sure that our students cannot be identified from the service that we are using. We are also setting up open weights large language models at the university, which is much more expensive than buying from OpenAI, Google, or whoever. We are using LibreChat at the moment, which is an open source tool. We are using Regflow, which is for including data from your own university and make this available for the chat tools. And we used Olama and VLLM, which are both runtimes for these open source large language models. And especially with LibreChat as a UI, we are also contributing to that community. Yeah, we have a higher education certification program together with the universities of Bremen and Oldenburg. So yeah, there is a training for our professors and lecturers that is not mandatory, but they can apply. It is free for our lecturers. It is open to lecturers from other universities who have to pay for that program. And yeah, that's something that is going over several years to get all the qualifications that you can get from that program. More recently, we started with, let's call it, an educational makerspace for our students. So we feel that something like 3D printing, laser cutting, and many things like this, even VR is part of here, is some newer qualifications that we want our students to learn very easily and have access to without yeah, buying it for themselves, especially as we frequently see that many students have not too much space at home to try things like this out. And we have 2 video studios and 30 lecture rooms equipped for automated lecture recording, where especially in the lecture halls, we are recording around 1,000 videos a semester. And we also, since Corona, see that we even have more videos people produce at home. So we are, the last time I've checked, around 2,500 videos that we have per semester. In Corona, that was over 10,000, but I guess we never see that again. Yeah, and one other important part for us always was networking with other universities, with other institutions that are focusing on teaching and learning. Currently, we have a funding from the state of Lower Saxony that includes all 20 universities in our state. And this funding has several sub-projects. One is dealing with everything that has to do with AI in studying. So we want to make sure that all universities are on the same level, at least on the same basic level. For sure, some do research there and so on, but we all have the same problems in dealing with AI in exams and in homework and so on. And we don't want to risk that one of the universities is not meeting at least the basic standards that we expect from every university. Same is with Centers for Teaching and Learning Cooperation. So we have learning materials that we want to share among each other. We want to make sure that we have a certain quality for everything that we have there. I mentioned that we are focusing on open source software, but it's for many of the universities in the state. So we have currently several million, luckily, that we can invest in making sure that the open source software that is used within the state is on a good level, especially regarding security and so on. So Moodle is probably not something where we can achieve much because that is a much bigger problem, but there is Ilias, which is very popular in Germany and where the main developers are in Germany. We have StudIP that I mentioned. We have OpenCast, and we have the Open Educational Resources Search Index, which is a smaller project, but also a very basic infrastructure that we see here. And all of this has now a 5-year funding that all the renovations that are long needed can be achieved. Yeah, we are trying to let our IT centers cooperate better with this project so that we have no longer the need to run certain software in every IT center. So we want to make sure that they are cooperate and offer services for teaching and learning statewide, and teachers can go in a broader variation of tools that they can use. We also have an e-assessment project where we have e-assessment centers that rooms with many PCs that universities should share among each other, and we are working on concepts on how we can improve e-assessments and digital exams, and again share knowledge with each other so that no mistake has to be done twice. We have a joint analysis for trends in teaching and learning. So one of the points was that we noticed back when ChatGPT came up that many universities were surprised when this suddenly happened to us and nobody know how to react. And they have the aim to find out what can change teaching and learning dramatically in the future. We see how good this works, and that is funded for all the universities here in the state with 25 million until 2030. So I guess that is a good starting point. We also are active in the German OER community. We are part of the Lower Saxony portal for OER content, which is twilio.de. And also the OER search index is part of that project, which is, from my point of view, really an interesting source to go to, even if you are not German speaking, because ERSI tries to bring several sources together that they find. And we are also technically, again, very active in open source communities, OpenCast, StudIP, Blue Button, where we, for example, in OpenCast, help to organize the 2 annual conferences. And not so technically, again, we are members in several of the national and international associations, like Media and Learning, the AMH, which is the group that brings together the media centers in Germany. ZKI is a group that brings together the IT centers, and DINI is a group for the libraries, where also some of higher educational didactics and e-learning and so on are discussed. And yeah, for future projects, I want to share, and maybe for even up for discussion, we are still very active in AI and education. And with the makerspace that we have, we find out that linking together teaching and learning and improving what we can do for students who are trying to build a startup after their studies could be a good fit. And we are elaborating with some funding now on how we can improve there. And also mentioned by Charlotte, I would say you brought up digital well-being. That is, especially at German universities, still something that does not get much recognition. And especially in an international group, I would be interested to see what happens. And we noticed that we probably will see a shift in the next years from the classical classroom with a projection in the front and somebody speaking in front of 200 people. We need more up-to-date learning spaces. where we have first prototypes here, but again, that is expensive to try out, and sharing experience will hopefully help. So thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. We are running a little bit out of time, but I will ask one quick question and then other questions we can keep to the panel discussion. You've already mentioned that you do a lot of cooperation with the different CTLs of German universities. In a couple of words, what are learnings that you already have from that that we can further discuss later on?
I guess the very basic learning is we all make the same mistakes, and if we do not speak about it, we will continue to make these mistakes. I had personally the feeling, as we are very broad, we have pedagogues here, we have technical people here, we have people with very different parts of education here, so musicians and chemists, biologists, and so on, because education is important for all of them. And the more technical your subject is my personal feeling, the more open you are to and able to change your exchange your experience. And especially with pedagogics, people are always telling us what applies somewhere else is not applying to us. But I don't have the feeling that is true, because we always find ways to share it. And strange enough, AI is at the moment the topic where people are most willingly to say that their own topic is not so important than building up more knowledge around this.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing. And there'll be more things to discuss in the panel discussion. For now, I'll move to our next speaker, Mirjana Koch from the University of Oslo. She is a senior advisor working with academic development courses, learning technologies, and learning design at another link, this time at the University of Oslo. So the floor is yours. We're very excited to hear more.
Thank you so much for this presentation. It was lovely to hear Charlotte and Rüdiger present before me. So many interesting points mentioned already, and I'll try to give the University of Oslo's perspective on this. So as it says here, I hope that everyone sees my slides here. I'm working at LINK, Center for Learning, Innovation and Academic Development. And this is the Center for Teaching and Learning at the University of Oslo, which is the oldest one in Norway, founded in 1811. And we have 8 faculties, 2 museums, a university library, around 7,000 employees, and more than 26,000 students working on more than 200 programs and so on. If anyone's interested in more number facts about Oslo, do check our website. But it is fairly large university and also campus based, so we do have a lot of students all around us. And if you can see the background of my virtual background, this is the university library where our offices are situated, and covered in snow, probably now as well as also, but I'm currently tuning in from Croatia, where I'm located right now. But at LINK, which was established in 2017, we are 15 full-time employees working in different positions. And we also have 14 part-time positions and interns. So basically, also as Rüdiger and Charlotte mentioned before, we were also merged together from different centers around the university. So basically, I came from one section working with digital media and learning. My colleagues also came from a production center working with video and programming support to different research projects and teaching. And then we also have university pedagogues or researchers in the field of higher education who also are these part-time positions, or they come in and have teaching duty also at LINK. We also do have students in some of periods of the year who come as interns working on different projects that we have. We have around 180 development projects per year, so different small or bigger projects or productions or workshops and different events. We have staff with varied backgrounds as well. So diverse set of media competencies, working with all educational video or promo videos or dissemination videos for different research projects and so on. And then high ICT pedagogical competence, so working on different workshops and in projects that are aimed to introduce new learning technologies or innovate about using learning technologies in teaching. We also have, as I mentioned, academic and university pedagogy competences with our colleagues from the Institute of Pedagogy, and leadership and organizational development competences with also our center leader, who is a researcher within this field. And according to our mandate, we work to initiate, evaluate, collaborate, innovate in these 6 areas. So I can mention here, for example, university pedagogy, or so the field which is very important in LINK. So this is the fact that we hold or have responsibility for the basic program for university pedagogy at the University of Oslo. So this is obligatory. Our teachers, all new teachers, have to devote 200 hours of their time to this program, which is comprised of a foundation module and development projects and electives. So basically we'll collaborate in teaching this program, so mostly university pedagogues, but as well other staff who are involved in the teaching of these courses. We also work a lot with educational collaboration with the support centers, pedagogical support centers at the faculty level, or different institutes on different projects. We work with innovation in teaching, development and learning, with research and best practice dissemination, with digital competence enhancement and production for media-rich learning environments. So basically how we do it is with experience sharing events. We produce some materials for inspiration, again, based on best practices and knowledge from research. We try to enable discussions about educational quality, create networks for learning across subject and organizational boundaries. We collaborate in this with faculties, pedagogical support centers, and centers of excellence in teaching. We also tweak and implement new digital technology. Some of my colleagues are very keen into this part of our work. And then we also take part in advisory boards, competence groups, nationally and internationally. With this international collaboration, I would also like to add that University of Oslo is part of Circle U Alliance. So basically here we are participating with 7 other European universities in different projects and have a group of teaching and learning centers that are collaborating. So this is an important arena also for us internationally. And then one of the cases that we wanted to draw here, my colleague Tatiana, who could not make it today, but who is leading this AI across, as we call it, network, or in Norwegian, KOI på tvers. This is a case that we wanted to present on how we're working. So this was a network that we started with 4 units back in March 2023, when, as we noted, everyone got kind of surprised by AI and how it rocked the world of university, especially with regards to exams and plagiarism, sorry. And then these 4 units were University Library, IT Department, Student Administration, and we at LINK. But now, by September 2025, we've grown to also include representatives from 7 faculties and research, administration as well, students and interns coming into this network and communication unit. So working together to focus on the resources that are needed for both teachers and students. So we share our experiences in this network, have centralized web pages and tailored policy summary. We do events for staff and students and work on dissemination again of good practices and the knowledge that we get from research and experiences through our networks. So experiences so far. So we've gotten to have more nuanced knowledge of challenges and opportunities. We have ongoing dialogue and updates in this network, so it helps us kind of on this Center for Teaching and Learning level to help everyone have an overview of where we are. So we have pool of collaborators in reach for AI events and development projects. It is a common marketing front for us, building bridges and strengthening trust. It is also serves as kind of an overview of AI-invested academic environments for co-creation of these resources and coordination on the event calendar. And we also like to have educator-to-educator events where educators can easily share their experiences of use of AI with others. And then last but not least, we also were asked to share some of the dilemmas that we face, and here are some that we would like to draw up here. So this balance between faculty's expectations for on-demand access to our center's expertise and capacity versus our actual resource allocation. So since there are 8 faculties at University of Oslo, how do we balance that we cater everyone, and then that it has to be kind of a balance between the actual resource allocation and the needs that they have, and then incoming workload versus investment in competence enhancement for fit for unknown challenges of tomorrow. So we kind of are also like, want to be stuck at these competencies that we have now, but how do we help ourselves kind of expand and grow and gain new competences, and then how to serve as a live hub for educational discussion and good practice sharing versus have time to create open resources such as better teaching. That was, for example, one of the finalists last year for the Media Award. So these kinds of resources take a lot of time to produce if we want to keep the quality high, and then having time to cater for events and all the other things. It's kind of a balance there, and then building out in-house research capacity to analyze the outcomes and effects of the initiatives UIO carries out in collaboration with others, or being dependent on limited access to already established research-intensive environments. So this is kind of also something that we are looking into, having researchers in-house who are kind of more connected to the projects that we're working in and doing research connected to this, or relying only on the researchers that are already in established institutes that we collaborate with. So this was short about LINK, but I'm looking forward also to the discussion part to share further.
Wonderful. That was also, like the other presentations, really interesting and different points of view, just to see how, CTLs are also, being implemented in Oslo. I have, you mentioned many different things. I have many different questions, but perhaps if you could share a little bit about your experience with supporting these peer-to-peer educator-to-educator networks. You've mentioned AI, but perhaps in other topics. If you mentioned that you do live events, you also do more sort of resources that exist. If you could tell us a little bit about the support that you give for these peer-to-peer networks.
Yeah, so for example, one very interesting part of our basic program in university pedagogy is peer-to-peer mentoring, or this peer mentoring scheme that we have at the university, something that our educators really value. So, for example, as part of their foundation module, they're distributed into peer groups where they observe each other's teaching and give each other serve to each other as critical friends. So this is where our colleagues who are university pedagogues, for example, they are part of these groups and help them kind of build the community there, where they feel really safe to observe each other's teaching and then make comments and kind of reflect and grow into better teachers through this practice as well. So this kind of a peer mentoring system is something that we are very proud of at the University of Oslo, and that's been functioning pretty well in our program.
Great, thank you for sharing, and also perhaps also something that the rest of us can also take inspiration from, and perhaps some of them will also reach out to you to find out some more. But yeah, moving on to our last speaker for today, or at least our last presentation. We have Jörg Pareigis from Karlstad University in neighboring Sweden. He is an assistant professor in business administration and the director of the library, which includes the Center for Teaching and Learning at Karlstad. He has vast experience of developing open online graduate courses for lifelong learning based on strategically important research that is done at Karlstad. He is also currently part of the AI National Working Group of the Association of Swedish Higher Education Institutions, and previously has also been part of OER working groups, and is also the co-organizer of the open online course on open networked learning. So that sets you up for the last presentation of the day. And yeah, feel free to also leave questions for him in the chat, but also if you start to already have questions for the panel, please already leave them over there so I can start preparing on how to best ask some questions for our wonderful panelists of today. But Jörg, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Melissa, and thank you, Media and Learning Association, for this event. Fantastic to hear all the colleagues presenting their work. Some thoughts and experience from my time here as the head of the Center for Teaching and Learning in Karlstad University. Following up on the poll, and a shout out to everyone, I would like to learn some more from you here in the room. Have you, a lot of you said you have requirements for formal teaching and learning. If you could just specify in the chat maybe how many hours in that case, and if it's formal or if it's a certificate, that would be really helpful for me, just for my understanding. In Sweden, we have, similar as in Norway, we have requirements pretty much mandatory, 400 hours of formal training in higher education, teaching and learning. So this is a lot of the things we do at our center, obviously. Yeah, that would be great to hear if you could share some in the chat, everyone, from your institution or in your country, if you know anything about this. So Karlstad University, you see in the middle of Sweden, in the middle of nowhere, maybe, or in the center between Oslo, Stockholm, and Malmö down south, depending on how you see it. More pragmatically in the middle of nowhere, and this is also why half of our 20,000 students, individual students, teach and study online, fully online, and have done so for a very long time. This is why our full-time equivalents are also much lower. So we have a lot of lifelong learning going on in Sweden in general, but in our university in particular. So this is what we support. This is why online teaching and learning is very dear to us, and this is why we're supporting and very much involved in digitalization and online teaching and learning, and providing the digital prerequisites for this. So, and my presentation is really also a shout out for collaboration for the course. Melissa mentioned open network learning. I'll finish on this, but they're really a shout out. And my colleague Marcus, who is here, is in coordinating a similar course. Maybe Marcus, you can share the course to heads. That would be highly appreciated. And fully open online course, both of them in English, problem-based learning, yeah, 80 hours of workload. Karlstad University, otherwise we have 2 faculties. We are otherwise on campus, 1 major campus, so we are very close. We have 1,000 colleagues. We are all very close to each other and on the campus, a little bit outside the town. And so, yeah, and this we're trying to play on this a little bit in the last years. And building very much on our relations to our teachers. And this is also a little bit my background. And I want to just share this, not because this helps also in, we'll maybe later talk a little bit about buy-in, how to get buy-in from CTLs with faculty. It can help in situations, I think, when the teachers out there regard us as the people from the Center for Teaching and Learning as one of them. In my case, this was really easy because I did my PhD here at the university in 2012 at one of the biggest centers, research centers. And there's the Service Research Center where we develop new knowledge on value creation through service. And I don't know if you have heard terms like service management, service innovation, service design, customer experience management, innovation and idea management, new service development. This is stuff what we are doing at the center. This is my background, which is why I was teaching also. So, and we're trying to implement this now at the Center for Teaching and Learning, this kind of work spirit, and at the library also, which I'm in charge of for the last 2 years. So when I took over at the Center for Teaching and Learning, we sat together and said that took a little bit stock. Where are we? And we had some challenges and still have, obviously. But the main challenge was that we, regarding the 400 hours that our colleagues have to take, we implemented in a way that we had 2 courses, a 7.5 ECTS over a term, which means 8 to 10 hours per week for our fully overloaded colleagues already. If you would try to take a course which takes over a term, a full working day of your time, you would not probably be very happy. Our colleagues were not very happy either. And they were very happy with the content, but the form and structure was not very appreciated at that time. And the other challenge or prerequisites was that we had great service. We have fantastic staff. I have such good colleagues. But we were a little bit unknown, and following back on the success factors what Charlotte was mentioning initially. So that was definitely something which we worked with, and my colleagues, as fantastic as they are, they had little confidence maybe to go out and be proactive and invite themselves to institutional meetings and go out there and spread the love and knowledge what they are sitting on. So the first thing we did in 2019, we got together and formulate a common vision. I think that was also on Charlotte's slide as a success factor. And we got together and said, what's our purpose? Why we're here for? And the team came up with this sentence in Swedish, but this is the English translation. And we have this on our slide all the time. And this is as a reminder for ourselves, but also for our colleagues, that we are here to support and stimulate the development of universities' teachers' teaching skills. And we do this similarly as you others mentioned, through courses, seminars and workshops. And we have the learning management system support, but also other digital tools, and a little bit innovative in how we provide support with a Zoom room, which is open for 4 hours per day, where people just can click in and share their screen and get help immediately. And we have some digital pedagogical innovation. And this is the core of the Center for Teaching and Learning. My colleagues here in the pictures in the different teams, which do the fantastic workshops and smaller courses, and help our colleagues to succeed and get rid of their pain points with Canvas in our case, or other digital tools. And then we include, and this is our connection to get also a lot of buy-in. So on the lower hand, the first colleagues you've seen, they are hired or in the central administration. I'm their boss, and they're not faculty. But the colleagues on top, they are faculty, and we hire them for 5 or 20 or up to 50% of their time from their faculty to work for the Center for Teaching and Learning. In this way, we get a lot of input from on the floor talk, what's going on out there. And at the same time, we get much more credibility for our courses, because it's other colleagues telling how they work and why, and that this is working in practice, not some foreign central administration staff teacher. So, and then at the bottom, we have the coordinating team, Karina and Helena, together with me, trying to keep track of everyone involved and to keep shape and alignment to our focus. So what we do a little bit more detailed, and what we then changed pretty much immediately, is we broke up this 2 times 200 hour courses into smaller, more bite-size, feasible parts. So the courses were modularized anyway, so we just said, okay, we split them up in smaller courses, and instead of forcing everyone to take everything at once, teachers have 2 years anyway to do this in Sweden, and we give the freedom, and we propose an order which is pretty much like this here, but everyone is free to choose also, and this is helpful because we have teacher training. So one of the biggest faculties and the subject areas is teacher trainer. So they know a lot about constructive alignment and about how to stand in front of a class and do classroom management. They know this. But they don't know often the rules and regulations guiding higher education, and they're not always on top of things in open network learning, or how to work with norm-critical pedagogy or other parts. So they pick those parts, which helps a lot if we empower our colleagues and let them choose, so that they can find their own pathway, a little bit what Charlotte was mentioning. So this is a big part of what we do. We do organize like conferences, seminars, like the annual Teach Meet Day or Educational Development Day last year on AI, obviously, but we also provide frameworks and platforms where teachers across the university can meet and talk about things in almost 2.5 or good 2.5 years ago, in January 23, like 2 months after ChatGPT released, we invited for the first Teach Meet on here in Karlstad University on ChatGPT, demoing what it is, reminding ourselves what we know about academic integrity, for instance. So that was proactive, and yeah, very appreciated. And since then, we've been going on and doing a lot of talks at institutional days or subject area meetings on ChatGPT and other generative AI. We do a report series for, we have something like the Scholarship for Teaching and Learning implemented at our university. So we provide also a report series, pretty much based often on the conference. So to get some written documentation about the projects, and then we do a lot of pedagogical workshops. This really bite-size 1 hour in Zoom. Even if we're on campus, a lot of our teachers still working from elsewhere, and we have another little campus 1.5 hours from here. So we do also to reduce overhead costs in going over to a room and waiting for people to show up, and then they don't show up, and then not knowing how long to wait. We do it in Zoom. Easy, you can answer some mails in the meantime if no one's coming, no one's noticing. It doesn't feel as bad for you sitting there and waiting for someone as if you're in the room. That can be very demotivating. So we do it in Zoom, and we put this just in our intranet, in our calendar, and flood it really with so that people cannot say to us that, oh, but we cannot come, there's no workshop. There's always a workshop. But it's up to you then to make use of it. So we do a lot of these, and then we have the national and international networks, as Rüdiger mentioned. We are in similar ones. Some of them you see there is very Swedish centered, obviously. Yeah, then we have the system and support, where we are system owners for, or very much involved in the support for these tools. We try to use as much open source as we can, and collaborate very well within Sweden with other universities, for instance, on Canvas. Then we do some digital pedagogical custom solutions, and that was my presentation really at the last Media and Learning Conference. So I'll send you back to those slides over there and can follow up some other time. And yeah, now we're more moving over into would like to do than in actually doing. So we don't have resources, funding for doing research. So we do a little bit of what my colleagues call sometimes moonlight research in our free time and in evenings, and try to do projects anyway. And then, yeah, we obviously do a lot of monitoring on current developments. But yeah, so summarizing, what we try to do is really, and it's not by, this was not built on Klara Bolanda Laxov, my Swedish colleague here in Sweden from Stockholm University, based on her research, but she talks about obtaining legitimacy. And I think this was a guiding light for me, and it was very helpful for me, being a former teacher and a researcher at the university, to understand that we know your pain points, we know your life, and we have empathy for your situations, and we try to do relevant solutions. And value co-creation is more from my research background, but we want to be relevant for our colleagues with what we do. That's what we said initially as a team, and then through content, through form and structure, and a very big focus on relationships. So talking about relationships and coming back to my invitation, this is the course homepage, a screenshot from yesterday, I think. So this is a course currently running, and we do this with a lot of institutions. Some of former participants are in the room, and yeah, please have a look. You find the link in the chat. We have a sister course, Heads, Higher Education Didactics for Sustainability. It's open, it's free. You can just sign up, and we onboard always new institutions. So we'd love to increase our network and to do this more even more internationally. And yeah, there's some research papers also about it, about the efficacy of the course. So it's a lot of fun, it's working, and but it can be a challenge if your colleagues have no mandatory requirements to do some courses. So, and I see now at least one in Ireland, some universities offer both 30 ECTS postgraduate. Okay, yes. Thank you. Yeah, if you have questions or other comments, or and please keep on sharing how, if there are informal requirements, and even if there are none. Thank you.
Great. Well, I'll quickly ask one question, Jörg, to you, and it'll be a little bit more abstract, and then we can move to the panel discussion. You've talked a lot about how your institution really is built on lifelong learning and sort of that online community. Just a bit of an abstract question of how do you feel that you incorporate that into your teaching program for the teachers? And for everybody, start leaving your questions. We put about 10 to 15 minutes for a panel. So we're very excited to get started on that.
Yeah, it feels very good to be able to do this, and very timely. And of course, the pandemic helped us a lot. Great for our colleagues which came to us previously and improving their courses. It feels it's easier when you are on the countryside, right, to do this.
Indeed. So yeah, we've heard about legitimacy and how to, co-create and build programs for teachers by teachers and that they feel value. We've heard a little bit from Rüdiger and now from Jörg. Maybe Charlotte and Mirjana, you have a couple of points to add to this from your institution's perspective.
Sure. Thank you for this question. So I can add that also at the University of Oslo, so we do have our university pedagogues who are also teaching at the University of Pedagogy, so also by teachers for teachers. But we also do have a merited teacher scheme at the University of Oslo. So and it is guided by the SOTL, or Scholarship of Teaching and Learning Principles. So the teachers who want to can apply for this educational merit, and then they can join, or by this act become members of our pedagogical academy at the University of Oslo, which is growing year by year. And here they do kind of also offer then to share their knowledge of teaching and best practices and experiences they have with other teachers. For example, in a week, we will have our yearly teaching and learning conference at the University of Oslo, Utdanningskonferansen, which is kind of also hosting a lot of these merited teachers who will be presenting at this conference and sharing their experiences. So also for the other teachers. So they're heavily included in the activities of our center as well. So I do agree with this approach.
Yeah, shall I share as well? Yeah, we have the formal teacher training, of course. I'm one of the trainers who gives that one. So I know all about it if you have questions. It's 200 hours. We find, we also have all these events going on to really get people together. We have in February an AI day, of course. We have our own education day, which is in March. We do show and shares where teachers can just share their whatever they are proud of that they would like to share with their colleagues. We find it also very important to go to all the faculties, because what we noticed as well is that you can be so distant if you just stay at more of a central level. So really go to the teachers themselves, and we have also hired some teachers actually from the faculties, because they really rather listen to their own colleagues than to another educational advisor coming to tell them what they should be doing. That's not really how it works. And we try to really, where the enthusiasm is from our teachers, we try to get that going and really get people together who have the same ambitions and the same passions. And the community building is very important for us.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. And then to go back to one of the questions that we had in the chat, I think, all the way back to our first presentation is teachers don't always have the time. Mostly they do not have the time. Jörg gave some examples of having that open moment that people can join, or they know that it's always going to be there. And Charlotte, you've just talked about the importance of community building and sort of meeting people where they are. Do you have any more examples of how, even if people don't have the time, you really are making it so attractive for them to really want to join your activities and take your courses that that they have no option but to make it? Yes, Charlotte, I think you raised your hand.
Yeah, this has been a struggle, and I know it has been a struggle for absolutely everyone who's working at a Center for Teaching and Learning. I've been talking to so many already. But what I have noticed is that what works by far the best is that if I go to them, so I really try to be invited during their teacher team meetings that they have, and not every single program has this, sadly, at the VU. It's not something mandatory or something, but a lot of directors are organizing these team meetings, and I really try to be part of those and really get invited. And I always start by asking, is there a topic that you guys are all interested in, that you would like to know more about? So I really give workshops more on something they are actually interested in. And if there's only one of the teachers there who is really enthusiastic about what I have to tell, then you really see that more like that oil stain where all the other colleagues are, who usually would never go to our CTL, that they get excited as well and they want to know more. And always the last slide, I always say, like, this is also what we offer, like all the projects that I showed you guys, I always show that to them as well. And then they can get excited. Oh, that's something I would like to know more about. And that's really how I get to reach teachers that I usually would never be in contact with.
Wonderful. Yeah, Rüdiger, go
I
ahead.
could extend that we noticed that it's sometimes only important to get one person from a faculty to spend time with an innovation that we want to bring in. And if that person is convinced, it's much easier for them to make sure that colleagues are following, instead of talking to all of them and having a large audience where people are only saying, no, we will not do what you are suggesting us, and we do not have time. And please, what we always get is, get me rid of some management or a bureaucracy, and then we will have time for that. Even we are in a point where we can do this with IT, but I never noticed that the time that we brought them back was really spent on working with the tools that we have for education. So it's probably still good to offer that, but not convincing to them. The only topic where it really worked out for us to go to the faculty meetings was now with AI. In the past, we were rarely invited if we brought up a topic, and now it's 3 years in a row where we are invited to every faculty meeting at least once a year to present on that topic, and more people show up than regular is also convincing.
And from my Swedish experience here, and also from our University Alliance, Eunice, is like it helps a lot if it's mandatory. And I wouldn't be afraid to push for this either. And I'm very thankful that in Sweden, the universities got together and made this informal agreement to make it more or less mandatory. It's not officially mandatory, but in practice, if you want to be a professor, you have to take the courses. If you want to be have an assistant professorship, you need to have it. And that helps. But if you then together do relevant to cater to the needs and with a lot of freedom and for the staff, then this is not a negative thing, I think. But if we want to have systemic change, then it's similar within public transport, right? You don't get people out of the car by just making public transport better. You have to raise parking tickets and make a car use more less attractive. And here we need some push also, I think.
I wanted to add from our perspective, so we do have the obligatory 200 hours, but it was also a struggle getting the faculty to participate on the things that were organized centrally, but that were not obligatory. So this was kind of driven by enthusiasm or interest into different topics. But then I think that collaboration with the pedagogical support centers at the faculty level, this was kind of one thing that helped us. So kind of when it's more discipline related and when we collaborate with those who are on the faculty level, it was easier maybe to have the faculty coming to these events. And then if it was a workshop that we organized centrally, but we wanted to share with the faculties, again, having some members of the faculty, especially those distinguished educators or merited teachers, as we called them, who were, for example, in this AI network that we have, they had a tourney with a workshop that we have assembled. So they kind of offered to have this for different faculties, and then this helped to attract more faculty members to these events.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I then think in the topic that we're discussing today, right, is how do we work together more as CTLs? If each of the panelists, if you either have examples of things that have worked well within your country, within the European network, within your universities, networks as well, as you can bring those to the table. And also, if you each have, say, a call to action, a project that you would like to get some colleagues to think along with, please bring those along and share with the group. And then after that, I'll give the floor back to the Media and Learning Association to close us off for this afternoon. So yeah, the floor is yours again.
Shall I start? Okay. So when it comes to collaboration in the Netherlands, it's actually quite easy because right now there's funding for us, where it's actually one of the things to get that funding for Centers for Teaching and Learning is that you collaborate with other Centers for Teaching and Learning. So everyone is doing it, you have to do it. Luckily, because I actually want that as well. So at the VU, we have an Amsterdam network with all the UvA, of course, University of Amsterdam, the University of Applied Sciences, also the MBOs. I don't know how to translate that in English. But yeah, we've got the Amsterdam network. I myself have a network with what we call CTL friends. We just find it fun to go to each other's institutions and to learn together and to just talk about the common struggles that we have and how do we solve it. So I always enjoy that so much. And they've even invited me also to see a Center for Teaching and Learning in Germany, for example. So they just invited me. I was part of the big group there. It was so much fun. So yeah, we have lots of visits. We offer tours as well to show our Centers for Teaching and Learning. We love to share experiences. So yeah, if people want to join the VU, if they want to see it, you're always welcome. We've had even people from far from Asia just seeing what we're doing. So everything's possible.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. This was very interesting to hear. I can share from our experience that right now we are very active in the Circle U Alliance that we're a part of. So, for example, the Alliance has also a collaboration between the teaching and learning centers of the participating universities. So I'll post a link to some of the projects that have been funded through the seed funding organized by Circle U, where Link and the University of Oslo have participated this year in 2 of the projects. So it was very interesting for my part. For example, we were working with hybrid teaching and in a project called Hybrid Circle U, so offering both guidelines and workshops to the participating universities, but we also welcomed other participants from other universities since the events were online and hybrid. So it was a nice opportunity for collaboration across the alliance and more.
What about our other panelists? Anything to share?
Rüdiger, you go.
Okay, I start with some of the obvious again, especially with the AI topic. We see that in a technical point, many universities are starting now with their own projects on AI tutors, or whatever you might call this. And I have a feeling everything is done 30 times in the similar way instead of learning from each other, taking technology and practices from each other if we are not cooperating more and talk about what we are doing, offer each other our services to try it out. And the other point with AI is not only the technology, it's also the impact it has on everything that we do at universities. Having better ideas on how to deal with exams is always interesting to see, and you can share that information within your university, but looking at the same topics at other universities will improve that effect much more, because you have completely other ideas coming up there. And also what I guess will hit us all of our universities hard is what impact will it have on the job market later on, and how to improve what we can offer our students to be better prepared for applying for jobs or fulfilling entry-level positions that are, as far as I see in the media, drastically changing.
I had my call to action already, so everyone welcome. Join us for Open Network Learning in HETS.